In this video, I'm going to show you why cash flow is more important than cash grow. In this video, I'm going to show you why it's more important to live rich now than it is to hopefully get rich later and how to do it. So, why am I even talking about this? Because so many people have these erroneous ideas. In fact, most of the things that we learn most of our lives about money are all a lie. You wonder why you're struggling. You're 30 years old, you're 40 years old, you're 25 years old, you're 35, 45, 55, 65, 75 years old, and you're still struggling financially. And people talk about having goals. Well, you never wrote down, I want to be struggling my whole life. So, why are you doing it? The reason you're struggling your whole life is because you've been taught to believe that something is true that is actually not even close to true. And that is that we should live our life for one day instead of living our life today. And by the way, I believe in delayed gratification. I believe one of the biggest common denominators of success in life is the ability to delay gratification. So I'm not talking about that cash grow or cash accumulation is a bad idea because somehow waiting is a terrible thing. Waiting, it can be a good thing. But what are you doing while you're waiting? See, a lot of people's hope for one day, I'll have enough money that I won't have to do anything anymore. Which is, I mean, think about it, like, why do you desire to retire? Don't tell me you desire to retire just because that's what I've always wanted to do. No, because when you were born, you didn't want to do it. When you were 3, you didn't want to retire. When you were 5, you didn't want to retire. So where did the idea come from? You weren't born with the idea, man, one of these days I want to have enough money so I don't have to do anything anymore. What would you do if you get rich? You know what most people say? Well, what I would do is I wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't do anything. Think about that. Well, I wouldn't do what I'm doing now. Then why are you doing what you're doing now? Now because somebody told you that you have to suffer through existence behavior so that hopefully one day you can have an experience of living instead of an experience of just existing. And you bought into that cause that's what everybody was saying. Your teachers were saying it, your professors were saying it, your parents were saying it. Your boss is telling you that. Everybody's telling you that why most people stay broke despite earning more someday is more important than today. Well, in a lot of ways that's true. Like when it comes to my habits, like living for the long term makes more sense. Like if I am willing to sacrifice tomorrow today on the altar of tomorrow, my tomorrow is going to be better than my today. Are you all tracking? Yeah. When it comes to my health, why is it that not the case when it comes to my finances? It is but it's the path that you take to get there that's all makes all the difference. And so I looked up some terms for you. So I'm going to read them to you. So I'm not just giving you my golden definitions. I'm going to give you actual definition from the dictionary. Okay, so cash flow, what is cash flow? Cash flow is the net amount of cash and cash equivalents moving into and out of a person, business, or investment over a specific period of time. So it's the amount of cash or cash equivalents moving into and out and into and out of into and out of. We've been taught to value money coming into cash, coming into our person, cash coming into our business, cash coming into our investments. But we've been taught to guard against cash going out. We guard against cash going out in the form of price resistance, right? We want to have the value, but we don't want to pay the price, right? And so what we'll do is we'll waste a lot of time to save a little bit of money because we've been taught as poor and middle class people to value money more than we value time. One of the things I can tell you is absolutely 100% unequivocally true about those of us who are rich. We value time more than we value money. I would rather spend a bunch of money to save a little time than waste a bunch of time to save a little money. And by the way, when I say that, ask yourself which side of that equation would you rather be on? Like you'll research for a handful of decades over price. Exaggerated. I exaggerate. Not that long. But for a long time to find the cheapest version of a thing, when if you would have put the same amount of time to figuring out how to make more money to pay for the thing you really desired to have in the first place, then you'd already have and you'd be on to the next thing. Is what I'm saying making some sense? Yes or yes? And so what we got to do is we have to change our mindset, because the people who told us that cash accumulation, okay, I gave you the definition of cash flow. Let me give you the definition accumulation. So cash on, cash flow again, cash flows out is the net amount of cash. Cash accumulation versus cash circulation. Explain equivalence moving into and out of a person, business, or investment over a specific period of time. Of a person, businessman, period of time. What's cash accumulation? Cash accumulation is the process of increasing the total amount of cash or cash equivalent assets held at a given point in time through savings, investing, and retaining earnings. So we've been taught that that's more valuable. But I submit to you that the people who taught us that that's more valuable taught us that that's more valuable because it's more valuable when we do that to them. Like it's more when I hold off and I put my money into an institution, and then they are in control of what happens with that money, and they have the ability to use that money in best interest, so they tell me to do it. But when they tell me do it, a reason that I can buy it of how it's going to forfeit me. That's why most people love their fourth and YK and their whatever the fourth many plans on all of Ev. Yes, wow, the one be Paul. I mean, yes, I have them, right? But it's not even a smidgen of the overall picture of my financial situation, because I am not so focused on cash accumulation that I'm going to sacrifice cash flow on the altar of cash accumulation. And here's why: because I discovered a long time ago, if your main focus financially is on cash accumulation, then there's a very good likelihood that you will never have either in significant amounts. You'll never have cash accumulation in significant amounts. Now, I'm going to prove it to you here mathematically. I'm going to prove it to you mathematically. So you know, mine's not just saying stuff. And you'll never have a massive amount of cash flow, and you'll never have a massive amount of cash accumulation if you're like you. If you're struggling to pay your electric bill and you're hyper-focused on retirement, you're focused on the wrong thing. There's nothing wrong with retirement. I shouldn't say there's nothing wrong with retirement. There's a lot wrong with retirement. But anyway, but I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with delayed gratification when it comes to your money. In fact, it's a great idea. But it's not a great idea to have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in a retirement account and you're struggling to pay your electric bill. That's a bad idea. You don't have enough money to invest in something that can increase your cash flow. So I'm so glad, and in fact I would say, I would venture to say I would never have become a liquid millionaire if I wouldn't have decided before I was a liquid millionaire. Liquid millionaire means you know you have $1 million liquid or millions of dollars liquid. I would never have millions of dollars liquid if I wouldn't have decided first to become what I call a virtual millionaire. I decided to become a virtual millionaire before I became a liquid millionaire. I'm going to show you what all that means. And so I'm the mindset difference between rich and poor going to go over here to my trusty digital blackboard. I'm going to show you why this whole idea, a couple of different reasons why this whole idea of having cash accumulation and like debt elimination as your primary financial objectives create more financial disaster and devastation for families than if they did it a different way. Okay, now, so let the games begin. If we're talking about cash accumulation, what's happening is most people have a job, and I'm going to talk about like where cash flow comes from here shortly. But I want to give you the opposing views of cash flow versus cash accumulation. I want to give you the opposing views first. So let's say your primary objective is cash accumulation and you want to become a millionaire. Okay, how much money do you have to save every month in order to become a millionaire based on where you are right now? Like if you want to accumulate $1 million. Okay, so how long will it take you? And here's what we have to do. We have, how many y'all understand? We have to operate within the boundaries that currently constrain us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say you want to accumulate $1 million, and right now, based on how much money you're making, you can save 100 a month. We're not going to talk about interest right now. Because the interest will be the interest, and that's fine, and most of the interest you're getting is simple interest anyway. It's not going to be compounding interest, and so we're not going to talk about that. Let's say you can save 100 per month. How long will it take you at 100 a month to accumulate $1 million? Does anybody know? Anybody want to guess? Just throw something out. Anybody just guess? 30 years. Okay. Here's how long it's going to take. It's going to take 33 years at 100 a month. 33 years and you will have accumulated $1 million. Okay. But wait, don't do that. That's not helpful. So let's say you can accumulate, let's say you can save 1,000 a month. How many of y'all know that most people in America cannot save versus 1,000 a month? How many of y'all know that? Let's just assume they could. How long is it going to take? It's going to take 83 years, so it's going to take 83 years. Now in 83 years, I'm not sure how old you're going to be, but in 833 years, I'm going to be 148. And even if I have $1 million, why fear keeps money stagnant dollars by, then I'm probably going to be too tired to spend it. So maybe that's not the best plan now. But what if you could save 10,000 a month? Okay, well if you could save 10,000 a month, then it's only going to take you 833 years. Well, that's doable because then I'll only be like 73. Maybe I'll have enough energy. I know I'll have enough energy, right? But the average person, they're going to have energy at 73. I can't speak for them. I don't know what they eat and I don't know how they take care of their body. Okay, but 10 zalas in a month. How many of y'all know the average person is not saving 10 zos in a month? Like what percentage of the population do you think could save 10 allows in a month? It's going to be less than 10%, right? This plan doesn't work for most people. But let's say it did. Let's say by some strange miracle, while you're doing this, your rich uncle died and left you $1 million, or you just saved for 33 years, or 83 years, or 833 years, and you did that, and you had $1 million. So once you have that $1 million, this is not a trick question. I want everybody to answer, this is not a trick question. This is not a trick question. You have $1 million. Are you a millionaire? This is not a trick question. Answer everyone. It's not a trick question. I said, would you say no? If you have $1 million, are you a millionaire? That's what a millionaire means. I said, it's not a trick question. It's not a trick. Now, before I even go any further, let me tell you why people said yes. Here's why you said yes. This is one of the same reasons you stay stuck. Here's why people said no, you're not a millionaire. If you have $1 million, here's why people say that they say it, because they learned in the misdirectional system that if an answer is too obvious or seems too obvious, it must be the opposite. And so what we do is we go through life ignoring all the easy answers that are true, stepping over them so we can pick up all the erroneous answers that are right, that are wrong, right? Because they will, if it can't be that simple. If you have $1 million, are you a millionaire? Yes or yes. But I don't want to answer because what if I say the wrong thing? I told you 4 times in a trick question, right? Okay. Now this is also not a trick question. I want everybody to answer. If you don't answer, you failed the test. So here's the question. If you spend $1, are you still a millionaire? How wealthy people move money strategically? No. What are you? You're 999-aire, and that takes way too long to say. So the objective when you have your $1 million is to not spend it. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to do what? I'm going to invest it in live off the interest. Let's say I can live off the interest. And let's say I can make 6% interest on my $1 million, and I get 6% on my $1 million every year, and I never touch, then I get to be a millionaire and I don't have to touch the money. Is what I'm saying making sense so far? Are you all tracking? Okay. So let's do some little interesting things here. If I get 6% on $1 million, how much is that per year? That's 60 vosen. So a millionaire this is $1 million accumulated. This is 60,000 gives you 60,000 cash flow. 60,000 a year, $60 a year divided by 12 months gives you how much a month? That gives you $5 and a month cash flow if you have $1 million. Now, I don't know if that excites you or not, but that to me was one of the most exciting things I've ever discovered, because I discovered that if I can create 5,000 alzen and a passive income cash flow, then it gives me the exact same lifestyle as someone who's accumulated $1 million and hasn't invested at 6%. Now, let's go back over here and look at the equation. You're saving 100 a month. It's going to take you 33 years. How many of y'all feel like that's a pretty good track for you? Oh, nobody. How about 1,000 a month is going to take you 83 years? Anybody think that's a good track? Even if you're 20, you're going to be 103. If you're 20 and you start this, you're going to be 103. Can you imagine being 103? How exhausted you are, okay? So let's say you can save 10 in a month, but most people can't do that. Do you see why? Are you starting to see why cash flow is a better idea than cash accumulation? Okay, now I'm not in elementary school anymore, but I've been in elementary school, and we got some elementary school age children here. So, or at least one. And so, here's what I discovered in elementary school. A math formula in elementary school, that's a wealth formula. A third grader could understand it. A fifth grader could understand it. What? Okay, what is it? Are y'all ready? Y'all can probably help me finish it. Two things that are equal to the same thing are also equal to what? Each other. Tada. Congratulations. I just cracked the code for you. Two things that are equal to the same thing are also equal to each other. What does that mean? If accumulating $1 million makes you a liquid millionaire and it gives you invested at 6% $5,000 a month in cash flow, anything that you create that gives you $5,000 a month in passive deferred, whatever you want to call it, residual cash flow, is equal to having $1 million accumulated. I mean, at $1 million accumulated invested at 6%. Now here's what's cool. This is so dope. Like now 500 in a using money as a tool, not a trophy month in passive income is double. Now if you understand how to do it, by the way, I'm going to show you some ways you can do it. I'm going to show you ways we do it. Like I'm a liquid millionaire and I still have way more than 5 hours a month passive cash flow coming in. Way more. Like literally. Okay, so we have over, and I don't know exactly what the number is, but I know it's over 200 a month passive liquid cash flow coming in before I get out of bed. 200,000's coming in. So if you take 5,000 divided by 200,000, it's going to be something like, 80 times. Okay, so that's the equivalent of having like 80 million. Do you see how much better this is a way to live? Because when you please, I promise you by the end of this video, you're going to not just know that this works, but you're going to know how you can apply it to your own life. How valuable is that? I don't know. It seems like it might be pretty valuable. And you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to quit your job to do it. I was making more than $5,000 a month passive cash flow when I had a job. I mean, at the later ends of my job career, okay? So does this part make sense so far? Okay, so now I'm going to go sit down and calm down, because I know I got a little worked up because this is exciting to me. Like I can see it in your eyes. The reason I'm so jacked right now is because I'm looking at y'all and I'm like, oh, they're getting it. They're getting it. It's finally clicking. Okay, so now let's talk about different kinds of cash flow, right? They're like cash flow is an overarching thing, but there are different sources of cash flow. So couple things. Focusing on cash accumulation before focusing on cash flow, like I said, could cause you to lose both. Focusing on cash flow before you focus on cash accumulation, get your cash flow fixed first. It can almost guarantee that you get both. Do you understand? The number one reason you're struggling right now is because your cash flows out faster than your cash flows in. Do you know why? Because you've been programmed by the same system that told you to accumulate cash. You've been programmed to believe that as a person who spends money all day, every day, you should only get paid once a week, or once every other week, or once a month. But you're spending money all day, every day, right? If I'm spending money all day, every day, how often does it make sense to make money all day, every day? Okay. I just wanted to make leveraging cash for growth and opportunities sure I was in the right room all day, every day. Okay. Now, and then I know what you're thinking. You can't make money all day, every day. Well, no, you can't. Not the way the system tells you to do it. Here's why you believe that. For those of you who had that thought creep into your head, okay, so here's my 3-point outlines and my 3-point outline, and I don't have a poem, but I might make one up before I'm done. Okay, so cash flow can be created now. You don't have to wait. This is why I'm talking to you like cash flow can be created now. Here's what I mean by now. You can start creating it today. Did I say today too fast? Okay, because some of y'all might have thought I said in 2 days. No, I said today. Okay, so cash flow can be created today, regardless of how you look at it, unless you are independently wealthy, saving for retirement, building up a nest egg, and working for that mystical, mythical dream of working hard for 40 years and then retiring doesn't make your life better now. None of that makes your life better now. Am I right? Like some of you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in a retirement account. I had one guy, he created a video and called me. What did he call me? I forgot, Scammer Klaus. And in one of the reasons he called me, that was because I teach people how to create wealth. And one of the ways I said you could borrow money from your retirement. He thought that was the most terrible idea in the world. Like I would, if I found the right opportunity to invest in whatever something that I felt like was going to, I would take every dime. And I'm not saying you should do this, but I would do it. I would take every dime that I have in my retirement accounts and put it in something that's going to create cash flow that could pay back the money that I borrowed for myself with interest. Oh, I would do that in 8 days a week, twice on Sunny. Sherwood. Yes, I would. Okay. Now, let's talk about active employment cash flow. Here's the problem with active employment cash flow. Y'all ready? And by the way, it's not bad. I believe okay. I know I preach a lot about entrepreneurship, but here's what I believe. I believe that the majority of people should have a job. Why? Because that's what you've been programmed for. And until you have to figure out how to live without a job while you have a job. Did you hear what I just said? You don't quit your job and then think all of a sudden you're going to be an entrepreneur. Because baby, that ain't happening. Okay, you got to go earn your living and your directed time, so in your discretionary time you can go build your fortune. So let's talk about employment cash flow. And by the way, it's not the most optimal way to cash flow, but it's so better than having no cash flow. Can I get a witness? Okay, so here all anchored biblical and business principles of wealth to your time. So where does active employment cash flow come from? It comes from working full-time. You get a full-time job and somebody pays you because you're doing something for them that saves them time or makes them money. Say full-time, and then some of you working full. Time doesn't make you enough money to take care of all the stuff you got to take care of. So then you work part-time.
Great.
So now you're working part-time and full-time. And I know I have done that in the past. Work full-time and work part-time both at the same time, right? And then when I had a job that paid me by the hour, also I would work overtime, right? So full-time, part-time, overtime. By the way, if that's the only way, to increase your cash flow, get busy, baby. Get busy, okay? Now, the problem with only having this type of income is the fact that your income generation is anchored to your time. So let me ask you a question. Do you have a limited amount of time, or do you have an unlimited amount of time? Limited amount of time. We all have a limited amount of time. So, which means the more your cash flow, what's the word I just said? Everybody say it. Cash flow. The more your cash flow is anchored to time, the more limited your cash flow. Did I say it too fast? Okay, y'all got it. So one of the things that I have to learn how to do is I have to learn how to disconnect my revenue generation, my cash flow generation from time. The more we disconnect our generation from time, the easier it is for us to create and catapult our cash flow. What does that mean? Well, first of all, so let me just tell you something that you may have never thought of, and I'm not being funny, and I'm not being condescending. You may have never thought of there are people in the world who make money that has nothing to do with how long it took them to make it. Has nothing to do with it. It's totally disconnected. And if they can do it, everybody tap yourself in the chat. Say, I can do it. Now, you may not know how to do it yet, but you know it can be done. And if it could be done by them, then it could be done by you. Okay, so cool. So let's talk about active and passive entrepreneurship cash flow. Active and passive entrepreneurship cash flow, okay? So active, the sale of services. If you have a business and you sell a service, that's active cash flow. Usually, when you sell a service as a specialist, the amount of cash flow you make per unit of work, which most people measure in hours, is going to be higher than if you're making that money as an employee. Okay, I'll say it again. Usually, if you're working as an entrepreneur and earning money, earning cash flow as a specialist who's an entrepreneur, the amount of money you make per unit of work which most people measure by time, is going to be higher than if you're actually doing that same work as an employee. Why? Because your boss, your employer, has to make money in the margin. He makes the money in the spread between the difference between what he charges and what he pays you is what I'm saying making sense, okay? And there's nothing how circulation creates influence and impact wrong with him doing that. He's the one who took all the risk. He's got to make the money in the spread. If he doesn't make the money in the spread, you don't have a job. Okay. So the sale of services. Now, there are different kinds of services that people can sell. You have your core service. What does that mean? If you're a plumber, your core service is plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, right? If you're a landscaper, your core service is landscaping and lawn care, right? So, what is your core service? Okay, but a lot of service providers are really smart, and they have the next kind of cash flow, which is continuity cash flow on what? On a service. What does that mean? Well, there's a plumbing company. It's so weird. Like now I'm thinking, why am I paying them? There's a plumbing company that I pay X amount of dollars per month. So when they come out, they don't charge me as much and I'm prioritized over other people. And I just pay them every month for the ability to be prioritized. They might come out 3 times a year, but I pay them every month, right? And the last couple plumbing jobs I had done, I didn't even have them do it. Like, what am I doing? Okay, I just thought of that just now. Okay, so Tada. Okay, so what's your point? My point is, as a service provider, if you have a service-based business, get clients on continuity. Make them a part of some kind of membership. Get them to pay you a retainer of some kind that gives them some kind of special something. Does that make sense? Okay, and then lastly is your colossal cash flow. What is that? That's when you sell a really big job. Now, if you are a service provider, I know you probably never thought of this before, but as a service provider that provides that service, you could take that same service you already have. You're a landscaper. You clean pools or may not clean pools, maybe may not work, but landscaper, you're a plumber, you're whatever. You could actually go get jobs that are way too big for your company and then act as a general contractor and sub out the work to other people who you know who are in the same business as you. And so now you're taking your competitors and making them a part of your cash flow equation. It's just a different way of thinking. People, are y'all tracking okay now? Anybody that knows me, and by the way, I have services that I sell. My services are a way higher price than most people because number one, I have a limited amount of time. So if you want final motivation, make money work for you, some of that time you're going to have to pay. So like last month we had a couple clients who were hourly coaching clients, right? And I make $40 an hour. So I had one client she said, well, I want an hour and I want you to help me create my presentation, right? So we sat over there in my office. She paid me $40 and she said, if it takes 2 hours, I'll pay you another $40. Okay, which would have been fine, but it only took an hour and I'm not gonna make it take 2 hours just cause I make more money, right? Took an hour. Okay, cool. Had another client paid me AD. She wanted me to help her grow her YouTube channel. I want you to help me grow my YouTube channel. Okay, we spend 2 hours and I break down YouTube for 2 hours. She paid me 80,000. And by the way, they both paid before they got any of the conversation. The payment's done, right? Oh, by the way, they were both jacked out of their natural mind when we got done. That's right. Okay. Now, I don't like providing services. That's why I charge so much, because if you're gonna make me do something I don't wanna do, I'm gonna make you pay. Now, you don't have to adopt that, but might not hurt, who knows, okay? So here's what I'd rather do, the sale of products. Okay, products work the same way as services, so core products. So I have about 5 core products, but I'm going to name 3. I'm going to name 3 core products that I have. So I have my From the Trash Man to the Cash Man book. In fact, I'll show it to you. I'm going to show you a couple of them. In fact, I'll even give you a little history lesson that you probably weren't aware of. Okay, so I have this book, From the Trash Man to the Cash Man, How Anyone Can Get Rich Starting From Anywhere. By the way, when you buy this book, please don't buy it on Amazon. I mean, unless you're getting the ebook version, which is only 10, that's fine. But if you buy it on Amazon, I've seen this book for sale, and I know it sounds ridiculous because it sounds ridiculous to me. I've seen this book for sale for Farrell's on 100 on Amazon, which is insane to me. Other than 100, it's 152-page paperback book. But people buy the book because I don't sell it on Amazon, they sell it on Amazon. Like the most recently I've seen it for 69. I've got somebody who's one of my VIP who bought this book for 107 on Amazon. You can get on my website for 20 bucks plus 10 shipping and handling. If you want a physical book, it's called TrashmenToCashmen.com. And I'm not trying to sell books. We already sell plenty. But if you want the book Trashmen to Cashmen, this is one of my core products. This book makes me between 80 and 110 in a year. Now here's the cool thing about that. How many times did I have to write this book? How many times? One time. I wrote the book one time and I get paid for it every month. Now here's what's really cool. I wrote this book 19 years ago. How many of y'all are making between 80 and 100,000 a month for work you did 19 years ago? This is why I love core products. This is one of my core products. This is my financial literacy product. But when I first wrote it, it wasn't called From the Trash Man to the Cash Man. When I first wrote that book, it was called The Ebony Treasure Map, The Roadmap to Riches for Afrikanamese. And so when we first launched the book sold great. But then I realized there are people who won't read this book because they're not Afrikanamese. So guess what I did? I changed the title. It's the same book. Yeah, no. Okay, so for those of y'all who know what the book looks like, it's the same book. See, Financial House and everything, see? Same book, okay? But I changed the title. Why? So that people who are Hispanic and white and Asian and from Greece and France and everywhere buy it. Okay, so that book, that's one of my core products. This is one of my core products. This book sells for 30 plus $9.99, $9.99 shipping and handling. Okay, it's called Boss Moves. Don't buy it on Amazon. I've never even looked it up on Amazon, but I probably should. Boss Moves book Calm. If you were to hire me to coach you and you were just like, hey, I just want you to coach me in general, my business, the things that I would coach you on, and it would take about 2 hours, are in this book for the first 2 hours. I would charge you 80,000, or you can get the book for 40 bucks. I don't mind telling you that because I'd rather you read the book and pay 40 and me not have to have a thorough conversation. Everybody wins. So those are two of our core products. We have another core product called the Make More Offers Challenge. The tickets for the general admission are $97. The tickets for, and I'm not telling you this because I want you to go buy anything from me. If you think that's why I'm telling you this, then don't buy anything from me. I don't need to make any sales. We're gonna make them whether you buy them or not. That's not why I'm showing you that I do the stuff we're talking about. Does that make sense? Okay. So the Boss Moves book makes us between $250,000 and $350,000 a year. It's work. I wrote that book 5 years ago next September. 4.5 years ago I wrote that book. Wow. And it makes me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. This is what I mean. So now I've got cash flow. I've got cash flow from core products. But guess what else I have cash flow from? I have cash flow from continuity. What's continuity? It's continuity is when you sell something to someone once, but they pay you for it every month or they pay you for it every week. I have clients right now who are 20 in a month payment plans, 20,000 a month payment plans. I have clients right now who are on 6 centers a week payment plans. Why? Because that's how I set up my business. So now I've got products cash flow, I've got core product cash flow, I've got continuity product cash flow, and then I've got colossal cash flow. What's colossal cash for? That's when I sell a VP a day for $375,000 altered. That's when I sell a King Solomon's Court, a mastermind for $55,000. We sell King Solomon's Court every month. We where people buy it every month. Now we don't sell VIP days every month, but we sell enough of them a year that we gonna probably keep on doing it. So you say, what are you saying? I'm saying I do the stuff I'm telling you. This is how I know it works now. Okay, wow. Okay, we got plenty of time. This is great. And I have plenty of stuff I want to teach you. So this is good. Hopefully this is helpful. Is this helpful? Yes, okay. Are you getting some ideas for stuff you can do? Okay, so then the sale of IP, what's IP? Intellectual property. That's the form of books, songs, videos, software, etc. So you come up with an idea. Here's what I found out. People will pay you more for your ideas than they do for your implementation. What it's called being a consultant, right? I heard one consultant, Neil Patel, some of